Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about the 341 meeting, the creditors, and a Chapter 7. My name is Norman Douglas. I am the owner of the Kansas Bankruptcy Center located in Wichita, Kansas. We offer free consultations if you're looking into a bankruptcy, and so you can go actually to the website mydebtfree.life and look at my calendar, schedule your own time, and fill out our short intake sheet so I can give you some information about bankruptcy. It's fairly painless, fairly quick, and we can do it over the phone or we can do it in person, of course, as well. Today, like I said, we are going to talk about the 341 meeting that occurs roughly 30 days after you file bankruptcy. It happens in a Chapter 7 and it also occurs in a Chapter 13, which are the two chapters that basically I practice in. Today, they're very similar, but today there's a little bit of nuances or a little bit of differences between the two. But today we're going to kind of go over a normal Chapter 7 341 meeting. So what happens is that roughly, again, 30 days after you file your bankruptcy, at the federal courthouse, we will have a 341 meeting. It will be basically myself if I'm your attorney. It will be you and or your spouse if you file jointly, and the trustee. There will also be other debtors and other debtors' attorneys in the room. Also, creditors' attorneys can show up. So that could be a creditor attorney for, say, your secured car loan or sometimes your house loan. A lot of times creditor attorneys or creditors do not show up. That's just the fact. They just don't show up. So what happens in a 341 meeting? Excuse me. Number one, like I said, it's at the federal courthouse, right? So you got to go through security. In Wichita, you can't bring electronic recording devices. So you can't have an iWatch or an electronic watch or your phone, cell phone, any kind, in the building. So you have to leave those in your car or secured elsewhere. You also need to bring your basically your driver's license and proof of your social security number. You can do that with social security card, or you can do it with a valid W-2. Okay, that way they can prove that it's you and your social security number matters. Clearly, I can't say that word today. The trustee, we will go down. I usually meet my clients about 15 minutes or so before, so we can just kind of go through, what I'm telling you here. When your case is called, we go up, we sit next to the trustee's desk. The trustee will then swear you in, and then they will proceed to ask you some questions. Typically, those questions are state your name for the record, right? And then they'll ask, are you one of the debtors in this bankruptcy? They'll ask you, has your address changed since you filed the bankruptcy? Has your employment changed? They'll ask if you reviewed the petition, schedules, other documents that we had filed in the bankruptcy case. They'll ask if you reviewed those. They'll also ask if you're personally familiar with that information, if you've signed the forms that you needed to sign to file. They'll ask if you have any errors or omissions or corrections to make at that time to the trustee. Hopefully, you've talked to your attorney about this, and if there are changes or something, we already know about that. That would be a positive thing to do, is talk to your attorney first. They'll ask if you've identified all your assets in the bankruptcy, if you have identified all the creditors in your bankruptcy. They'll also ask if you have filed another bankruptcy in the past, whether in the past 8 years or in the past ever. They'll ask if you have a domestic support obligation, which means do you owe someone child support, alimony. They'll also ask if you have read the bankruptcy information sheet, which is provided by the U.S. trustee. And then what happens, those are kind of the standard questions. And then what happens is they can kind of dig a little bit deeper into your case. So if you have non-exempt property, for instance, they may ask how you valued it. They may say, oh, you have a gun. What type is it? We want a picture of it. If you have vehicles that are non-exempt, they may want photos of those. If you have a special circumstance that they're not understanding or that really isn't clear in the bankruptcy paperwork, then they may ask you to explain that as well. Typically, these meetings from being sworn in to the end is roughly 3, 4, 5 minutes, 6 minutes maybe. Can be a little bit longer depending on the situation, but they're usually relatively quick, and they're not anything to be nervous about. Like I said, you would talk to your attorney and you would know if there's any issues in your case. And quick costume change. I realized I cut off the end of the video, but again, instead of going back, recreating the entire video, it's fine. You know how I do, just one take these things. So I'll finish up with this. If there's any special circumstances, your attorney should go over that with you before the 341 meeting starts. Once it ends, it's over. You receive your social security number. Still can't talk, and it's 3 days later. Social security card back. You'll get your driver's license back, and that'll be it. If you want to ask the attorney any questions, I usually hang around for a couple minutes to kind of go over anything like that may come up. But that's it. So, again, my name is Norman Douglas. Kansas Bankruptcy Center is what I do, or what I own, I guess. And you can find us online at www.kansasbankruptcycenter.com. You can schedule a free consultation at mydebtfree.life. And until next time, Norm out. Later.